Spare. Diana's baby. We continue our analysis of Harry's autobiography. You'll recall that he got a bit of a beasting on Bodmin Moor, not from the beast of Bodmin Moor, but from members of the military. Although, as I stated at the time, it wouldn't surprise me if some fellow members of the royal family got dressed up in military fatigues and put on balaclavas just so they could give a few rabbit punches to the kidneys of the Ginger Prince. But now, it's time for him to move away from the freezing horizontal rain of Bodmin Moor, because Granny tells him, "Young man, you're going to the Caribbean." Yes, it was a 2-week tour to commemorate her 60th year on the throne. His first official royal tour representing her. I can imagine that on the morning he was there thinking, okay, right, crayons, yeah, red, green, blue, orange, yellow, green. Now, what's that one again? Begins with a P, I think. Oh, damn it. Going to have to look it up. Purple, that's it, purple. Yes, all crayons, present and correct. Building blocks, special travel edition. Yeah, look forward to playing with those. And tub of soldiers as well to play with. Yup. Okay, now, what about the clothing? Right, Nazi uniform. No, William must have put that in there. No, mustn't be taking that with me. Oh, no, that would be terrible. Okay, James Bond outfit. Yep, got that. British soldier in hot weather kit. Yep, got that one too. Budgie smugglers. Superb. Whoa, bright yellow. Fantastic. Thanks, Pa. Just what I'd always wanted. And crazy Hawaiian shirt. Yup, got that. Espadrilles. Yup. Deck shoes. Yup. Sponge bag. Yup. Looks like I'm all good to go. You can imagine it was very much the case of that was how the packing went. However, he said wrote that he found it strange to be called away at a moment's notice, but then realised it wasn't strange at all because his grandmother was his commander. Right, thanks for that. It's now March 2012, and he flew to Belize. Now, for those of you that don't know, a little bit of information about Belize, because it is pertinent vis-a-vis Britain. Belize is located on the northeast coast of Central America. It was known as British Honduras until 1973, and it was the last British colony on the American mainland. Its prolonged path to independence was marked by a unique international campaign, even while it was still a British colony, against the claims of its neighbour Guatemala. Belize achieved its independence on September the 21st, 1981, but it has retained its historical link with the United Kingdom through membership in the Commonwealth. Belize is often thought of as a Caribbean country in Central America because it has a history similar to that of English-speaking Caribbean nations. Indeed, Belize's institutions and official language reflect its history as a British colony. However, its culture is more typical of that of other Central American countries. Belize's small population is ethnically diverse and includes a large proportion of immigrants. Since the 1970s, migration has shifted Belize's ethnic composition from a predominantly Creole, mixed African and British descent, population into one in which there's people of mixed Mayan and Spanish ancestry make up half of the total inhabitants. Belize has one of the most stable and democratic political systems in Central America. After its original capital, Belize City, was ravaged by a hurricane in 1961, a new capital, Belmopan, was built inland. So, the name Belize is traditionally believed to have been derived from the Spanish pronunciation of the last name of Peter Wallace, a Scottish buccaneer who may have begun a settlement at the mouth of the Belize River about 1638. It's also possible that the name evolved from the main word Belix, meaning muddy water, or Bilikin, land facing the sea. So a little bit of history about the place so you understand the connection between it and the United Kingdom. So Harry's there, And he drank toast to his grandmother whilst there, and he performed many rounds of a local dance called the punter. He also had his first taste of cowfoot soup. He then spoke to them in Creole, basically saying, "Come on, let's party," and apparently the crowd lost it. So clearly his crazy Hawaiian shirt did the job. He explained that people called out his name, but at one point a lady hugged him and cried, "Diana's baby," then fainted. "I think perhaps you may need to use more deodorant in future, Prince Harry." He then visited a lost city, and he climbed a stone temple, and the view was stunning. And he looked down and couldn't help thinking about all the bones of untold numbers of dead Mayan royals. He likens it to a Mayan Westminster Abbey. In the Bahamas, he met ministers, musicians, journalists, athletes, and priests. And then he met Pa's goddaughter, India Hicks, who was one of Mummy's bridesmaids. And he went to Harbour Island Beach and found that the sand was bright pink. Harry's reaction to this? It made him feel stoned. Probably was. Hilariously, India explained to Harry why the sand was pink, and it was a scientific explanation, and he says he didn't understand the explanation. You've got to admit that at times he is rather honest about his dim-wittedness, isn't he? But again, allowing him to put it in such a forthright manner really doesn't do him any favours. He then explained that he went to a stadium full of children, and they lived in abject poverty, and yet they played and danced and did a little boxing. He said that he'd always loved children, and he felt a keener connection to this group because he'd just become a godfather himself. He was then given a gift, which was a gigantic silver crown and an enormous red cape, which was for Her Majesty, and he said that he would ensure that she gets it. He then put on the crown, and it was the size of an Easter basket, and all of his staff had a good laugh at him. And he said he was going to wear it at the next stop, but they talked him out of it because he looked rather idiotic. He then went to Jamaica, and he had a foot race with Usain Bolt. He won, but apparently he cheated. And then he explained that at every stop he planted a tree. But Harry, being the crazy dude that he is, explained that normally when you arrive at a tree planting, the tree's already planted and you just throw some soil. But he actually did plant the tree. And apparently he says people seem shocked by this break with protocol, and they saw it as radical. I think probably you're imagining that, Harry, but fascinating. Again, he has a detailed tour of the Caribbean, visiting, it clearly sounds like, many different places, and it's all done rather superficially. What did he think about, for instance, the countries remaining in the Commonwealth? Did he face any hostility? He evidently talks about how supportive and everybody was pleased to meet him. But again, we get a short chapter talking about it, and he doesn't really get under the surface of it. He could tell us more about the places that he went to. The ghostwriter, perhaps, could again provide us with a much more graphic description of the places to really take people there. Instead, it comes across, and perhaps this is part of the process of summing up Prince Harry, but you get the superficiality of it all. It's just sort of, hey, everybody, let's party. I drank some booze and I ran on a race against Usain Bolt, and I didn't understand why the pink sand was pink, and then I was gone. Coming up next, he gets back to one of his favourite topics, and it's something called Tweedledum and Tweedledummer. No, it's not about himself. Join me in the next video.